Hello everyone, it's Monday and you're watching Within the Frame, where we delve deeper into the top stories not only in South Korea but across the globe. I'm Kim Bo-kyung. China's two sessions kicked off over the weekend. They are annual meetings of China's legislature body, the National People's Congress, and top political advisory body, the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. This year's is much more significant in that Xi Jinping is to confirm his third term as president, and as delegates are expected to reshape several key party and state institutions. It's already been announced that China will pursue quite a reduced economic growth target of about 5% this year, while defense spending will rise by more than 7%. What significance does President Xi Jinping's third term have, and why such an unambitious growth target while increasing defense spending? For an in-depth analysis of China's two sessions, we invited Choo Jae-woo, professor at Kyung Hee University. Professor Choo, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And we also have Song Soo-young, professor at Korea University, on the line as well. Professor Song, welcome and thank you for making time.
Thank you for inviting me, and good evening to you, both of you.
All right, first question to our Professor Choo. President Xi Jinping is set to have his unprecedented third term as president formalized at the parliamentary meeting. Now, what significance does this third term have?
Yes, his leg of leadership is to be confirmed. I mean, he's not elected to he's not elected to presidency yet, but in a few days he'll be elected to presidency. And we all know that there are three powers that Chinese leader has to confirm. And in the past, when was it? Last year, October. There was a Communist Party Congress, and at the occasion, Xi Jinping was elected to party chief of the Communist Party and the central and the president to the Central Commission, the Central Military Commission. So with these two powers already been confirmed, now he's going for his third power, and that'll be the presidency. And once that he's elected to the presidency, then it means that he'll be heading into his third term thereafter.
Right, I see. Now, Professor Choo, a reshuffle of top government jobs is also going to be made, and one noticeable figure is Li Qiang, who becomes the next premier as Li Keqiang moves out. Now, what political significance does Li Qiang's presence have in China?
Means, Li Qiang and others, they are all loyal supporters to Xi Jinping, and they're very much subservient to Xi's leadership. And I guess unfortunately the collective leadership ethos that have been going on since Jiang Zemin era, which was basically covering the early 90s and throughout the end of the 90s, and following that during the Xi Jinping and Hu Jintao and Wen Jiabao era, also collective leadership ethos was very much in practice. But now with Xi being surrounded by all of his loyal supporters and his followers, I don't think we can expect collective leadership ethos that has been going on for the past 20 years will be in practice. And apart from that, that's looking at it from the party apparatus practice here, leadership structure practice here, but also you look at it from the premiership. Li Qiang, for his relationship with Xi Jinping, I don't think we can expect much role that Li Qiang will play for years to come. Because unlike we've already seen signals from the latter years of Li Keqiang that premiership is very much placed aside, and Xi Jinping as a president and the party leader, he's been in charge of the state council, and he's been leading the charge of economic planning and development schemes. So, which was basically were in the hands of Premier of China. But unfortunately, Li Keqiang has not been able to do so the past 5 years, and I don't think we can expect much from the Li Qiang either.
Right, I see. So Li Qiang is one of loyal supporters of Xi Jinping, and we won't be able to see Li Qiang's role that much shown throughout the leadership because he's very much loyal, and since premiership is very much set aside apart from the presidentship. Okay, Professor Song, but still, the word is that Li Qiang is well regarded as pro-business and was popular among the foreign executive community during his tenure as party chief of Shanghai. And thus, he is expected to bring private investment with pro-business policies. How would such a boost in luring overseas investment in China help improve China's economy?
Yeah, according to this background of Li Qiang, actually he has been, his career is just focused on the Shanghai and Zhejiang and Jiangsu, just the surrounding areas and the seashore. So which means that he has been presided over there, some provinces and the Shanghai cities to invite the foreign investment, particularly about the Gigafactory, which was established in Shanghai area by under the leadership of some Li Qiang. So that's why Li Qiang is regarded as very pro-business, and also he has earned his executive MBA degree at Hong Kong Polytechnic University. So according to his background and his experience and his close relationship with Xi Jinping, clearly he must be a loyalist, as the Professor Choo mentioned. But however, the premiership, even though it is secondly ranked echelon in China, but still the economic issues should be addressed mainly by under the leadership of the Li Qiang, and also people and the analysts anticipate some autonomous and independent approach as far as the economic issues are concerned under the leadership of the Li Qiang. So to that regard, I believe that according to background and Li Qiang's experience, the economic issues are addressed, and actually the Xi Jinping may not intervene or may not put his hands too much on some economic issues. So the Premier Li Qiang would be more involved in put the Chinese economy in some recovery path, and also to resolve the issues, the United States and China conflict, and also some improve the relationship with some European countries and around the world.
Right. So although he won't be able to have authority in political sector, much authority that is, but he is going to play a key role in addressing the economic hardship and challenges that China is currently facing. Right. Now, Professor Choo, the National People's Congress is set to approve some structural changes to the government as well. Now, under the Party and State Institution Reform Plan, measures would reportedly include the creation of the National Supervisory Commission, which is an anti-corruption agency. Could you elaborate on some of the more significant plans?
Yes, the plan has not been introduced yet, so it's not publicly available yet. But I'm sure in a couple of days we can get access to it. Well, until then, I think one outstanding apparatus that we can expect is the National Supervisory Commission, just like you pointed out, and it is designed to further strengthen an overseeing platform that is designed to consolidate Xi's leadership. That's for sure. Over the years, Xi has charged, anti-corruption campaign for the past 10 years, and it has been quite successful. But that was put under the, judicial side of the, party apparatus or, leadership sector there. So now they would like to, separate that, separate that from the, judicial apparatus, and have Xi Jinping would like to have more handover on this particular question. So that's why he's probably thinking of, establish this new agency that could be directly in charge by himself. So that'll be quite interesting to see for years to come. So it literally means that whoever that Xi Jinping feels uncomfortable with and then challenging his leadership, then he could take the case and exploit it to purge some of these challenges that he deems in the future.
Right, interesting. Now, Professor Song, moving on to the economic front, China's official manufacturing purchasing managers index, which is PMI, for February hit its highest level since April 2012, which led to expectations that the end of China's zero COVID-19 policy and the country's reopening is going to bring apparent recovery starting soon. Do you agree with this point of view?
Yeah, mostly as is forecasted by the analysts around the world. And even though Chinese current, their objective or goal of the economic growth rate is just around 5%, because they are concerned about some uncertainties regarding the wars and other some coronavirus resurgence of coronavirus or the problem, because in year of 2022, they have announced a 5.5%, but they end up with just a 3%. So that's why they have some conservative and modest goal of the economic growth rate. However, as you mentioned, that the PMI, particularly the manufacturing PMI, had shown very huge, which is non-manufacturing PMI is reached 56.3 points, which is the highest point. And this is supported by the new orders has been dramatically increased. So, and the business confidence in Chinese domestic economy has been increased a lot. So to that regard, the domestic economy is on the path to recovery, and also the Chinese economy would like to invite the foreign investment and particularly some private funds and some hedge funds, and from the capital investors from the Western world they clearly focus on some Chinese opportunity right now.
Right, I see. Now, Professor Song, since you already tapped on the China's GDP growth target, could you elaborate more on why China set a rather conservative growth target for this year? And given the expectations around the country's reopening, how is this going to affect South Korea's faltering exports that is being shown right now?
Yeah, South Korea has experienced actually the balance of trade is the worst, because the net exports is negative, in the range of negative. And so currently the balance of payment is also very bad, even though current account has been recovered a little bit from the worst case in January 2023 to in the February 2023. They have recovered a little bit because of some investment returns, earnings from the investment and loan has been backed up and recovered the loss of the balance of trade. So that is, I really would like to point out that we should not lose the opportunity when the Chinese economy in the recovery path, then we should not be constrained in just because of the political issues and other issues and other geopolitical problems set up a hurdle against the Korean economy recovery. That is a really bad situation. So as far as I know, the Vice Prime Minister in Economy, Choo Jae-woo, has mentioned that unless the semiconductor has recovered the export, then the balance of trade, negative balance of trade is maybe unavoidable. But that is too narrow focus. We do not rely too much on some semiconductor only. That is a bad policy, I think. And so we have to take care of not just some big big companies, big enterprise, just medium and small enterprise. We should take care of some Chinese economy also.
Right, I see. So the punchline would be that South Korea's trade sector would have to find some opportunities in line with China's recovery process. Right. Now, Professor Choo, we cannot leave out defense spending. You know, defense spending, China will increase it by 7.2% this year, outpacing the economic growth of around 5%. What security challenges are being considered by China right now, and how do you believe this spending boost will affect tensions in the region?
Yes, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang's working report justified the move as that, external attempts to suppress and contain China are escalating. And it obviously means that he was referring to U.S. schemes to strengthen its defense presence in the Indo-Pacific region in recent times, as well as, U.S. military and defense support to the cause of Taiwan. And in the last year when the United States U.S. Congress passed the National Defensive Authority Act, we can notice that the United States is committed to supporting Taiwan for the next 5 years in terms of building its defense capabilities. So, obviously China sees a present threat there coming from the United States. And definitely with that in mind, China would like to have some countermeasures, as we have seen in the increase in its drastic increase in defense budget. And that is going to in turn affect, the military tensions in the region.
Right, I see. Now, Professor Choo, one more question to you. The
Yes.
National People's Congress spokesman, Wang Chao, stressed strengthening ties with Europe, saying it will increase trade and investment. Could we say this really shows China is trying to boost opportunities with Europe amid intensifying rivalry with the U.S. that you have already mentioned?
Yes, obviously China is feeling the pressure, stemming from the effective subset measures of the U.S. Indo-Pacific strategy, like FAB4 and IPEF and others alike. And it's in dire need to find alternatives to U.S. pressures. And obviously one source that stands out is Europe market. China, and with the recent new leadership elected in Germany, and China sees Germany as a potential economic partner, as new prime minister in Germany has shown keen interest in furthering and advancing economic ties with China, whereas other European states are still holds a lot of reservations, because they're very much conscious of the United States. But in the end, China has to find some other alternatives too, apart from Europe, and that could be seen in the Asia Pacific regional states, as Li Keqiang also pointed out in his remarks, and that they would like to advance the RCEP in this region. And one of the regional countries that China would like to really further cooperation is also Korea, and Korea will have some opportunities coming from China as it continues to knock on the door for more cooperative programs. But to date, Korean government has been still cognizant of U.S. Factor here, and has been pretty slow in moving forward.
Right, I see. Now, before I let our professors go, Professor Song, I'd like to ask you, China's big-name internet entrepreneurs have been dropped from key lawmaking and advisory bodies. Their names were replaced by chip researchers and engineers, and this sure seems to hint that Beijing aims to win the tech race with the United States amid sanctions imposed by Washington. Now, how would such tension between the two superpowers affect South Korea, especially in terms of chip exports?
Yeah, actually, the outgoing Li Keqiang has mentioned the directives of the economic progress in China is self-reliance, particularly in the areas of the high-tech and semiconductor techniques. So, which means that China is going to invest a huge amount in some self-reliable, the high-tech So that means that our semiconductors, our industries, particularly, and Samsung, and they have to. I think they faced some obstacles and hurdles from China. In relation to some export of semiconductors and the high-tech products. So that means that our economy has to focus on some, other than those high-tech products, we have to make some export to China and increase the import. So trade relationship should be recovered, but focusing on some other than high-tech products, and then our economy is on the path to the recovery. So that is very important idea that has been derived from the Chinese directives for the further economic self-reliance in the upcoming days.
Right. So it would be also important for South Korean government to also focus on other products,
Right.
instead of just focusing on high-tech products like
Right.
chips. Right. All right. This is all the time we have for today's edition. But thank you, Professor Jae-woo and Professor Song, for your insights. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, my
Thank
pleasure.
you. Enjoyed it.
All right. That's all for Within the Frame tonight. We will be back tomorrow with more in-depth stories. Thank you for watching and goodbye.